Hey, well, welcome to an episode of Money Mondays brought to you by Blue Star Family's Deploy Fellowship Program. My name is Chavelle Zachary, and I will be acting as the facilitator for Monday Mondays this year. I am the JP Morgan Chase Financial Wellness Deploy Fellow here at Blue Star Families. Both Money Mondays and the Deploy Fellowship Program are in their fourth consecutive year. The fellowship is a key element of Blue Star Families Initiative effort that conducts research and takes action to improve the experiences of service members, veterans, and military families. As we navigate the financial landscape unique to military families, today we wanted to focus on a topic that's both timely and crucial: taxes and tax season. Understanding the intricacies of tax obligation and benefits can significantly impact our financial well being. We'll explore essential tax considerations, common pitfalls, and strategies to maximize your returns, ensuring you're well prepared and confident this and future tax seasons. Now, please join me in introducing Sherry Sales to this segment of Money Mondays. Sherry has her bachelor's degree from the State University of New York, Brockport, with a specialty in accounting. Sherry started her career with the IRS in 1995, where Sherry has an internal revenue agent and was with her own small business, self-employed, for 17 years prior to her current position as a public affairs specialist with tax outreach, partnership, and education. So, thank you, Sherry, again for joining me. I know it's early for you, so I cannot thank you enough for being here and just helping out with our Money Mondays segment.
Thank you, Chavelle. I really appreciate you inviting me back to Blue Star Families Money Monday. And I look forward to going through my wealth of information to share with you today and to all of Blue Star family military enlistees and spouses.
Great. Well, I'm excited. So we'll start off light here with some general tax questions because unlike some people, maybe this is not rare, but for me, I wasn't really taught how to do taxes, and it was something fairly new to me as I graduated high school, and I can imagine it's even harder for those who are in the military trying to navigate, how to file their taxes. So, my question to you is, what are some of the most common tax mistakes military families make, and how can they avoid them?
The most common mistake that I have heard year after year is people in the military, both currently enlisted and then when they retire and they leave service, end up owing taxes and they don't understand why they owe taxes. People in the military have a lot of specific special circumstances, like when they go overseas, their combat pay is not taxable. When they're on disability, their taxes are not, or their disability is not taxable. But what happens is they don't have enough withholding, and they end up owing taxes. And so you might think, well, if they have non-taxable income, how does that happen? Well, once they come back and they're back at their duty station in the United States, then their income becomes taxable again. They might be working a second job. They may have a spouse who's working. And when you're figuring your withholding for your taxes, for your combined family taxes, if you're filing married, filing joint, you want to make sure you're looking at the total amount of income for the family and withholding taxes that are specific for that tax rate for the bracket that the family is going to be in. So one of the biggest complaints is, one that they end up owing taxes, and especially when they leave the service, they leave the military and they go into the private sector and they start working. That's a big bump in pay, and they might be withholding at the wrong rate. So what's really good about the IRS is that we have a lot of tools that they can look at online, and one of a really great tool that we offer is what they call a withholding estimator, and you can put into this withholding estimator calculations that are specific to a military family. You could put in the income for the person enlisted, for the spouse, any second jobs, and it will tell you how much you should have withheld in a year. And in the case of somebody who's in the military, they can go ahead and complete what they call a Form W-4P. the withholding certificate, and that would be for somebody who is leaving the military, and they can go ahead and have like their pension taxed. So when they go back out into the, because many times people will work 20 years in the military, earn a pension, then they'll go out into the private sector and have another job,
Mhm.
and they end up owing. So you want to make sure you're even taxing your pension, having withheld taxes withheld. Um, and then you can also do a W-4 while you're currently working within the military, or your spouses too, to have additional taxes withheld. So you're not hit with that surprise at the end of the year. And I would say that is like the biggest issue that I have seen coming from the military families, is that they owe taxes, and we're trying to help them not owe taxes.
Yeah, yeah. So that actually leads into my next question. So, are there any tax deductions or credits that military families should be aware of that are out there for them?
Let's see here. I have some different little tidbits here. Um, So when military members are traveling from one, they get reassigned from one duty station to another. They
Mhm.
are allowed to deduct the travel when they're moving from one duty station to another. And they want to make sure that they are taking advantage of that. So you have to be moving more than 100 miles, or I believe it's, yeah, it's over 100 miles away. And so anything like your mileage, if you're staying in a hotel, your meals, you can deduct those. And of course, if you're hiring a moving company to help move your furniture.
Mhm.
Let's see here. What else do we have? Um, Uniform costs, costs and upkeep, you are able to deduct that. There's also a lot of great tax credits that you can take if you have children. You have the earned income tax credit. You have the advanced child care tax credit. There are tax credits that you can take. And then if you own your home, there's always additional tax credits that you can take, as far as right now we have what they call the Inflation Reduction Act, the home energy credits. And so any home improvements that you do that makes your house more energy efficient, such as new windows, new doors, solar, water heaters, all that can give you an additional tax credit on your taxes.
Okay. Wow. No, that's great. I had no idea about that clause right there. So it kind of leads into my next segment, deductions, benefits, and exemptions. So we talked a few things about the tax deductions. Now, how does the child tax credit or earned income tax credit apply to military families?
Let's see here. Let me see if I had that information in front of me. Sorry, all kinds of little things here. Um, Well, the earned okay, so you have to qualify for the earned income tax credit. It's based on if you don't have to necessarily be working, but there is a chart that tells you how much income you would make that would qualify if you have no children. And then as you add for each additional child, the earned income tax credit would increase. I will tell you, if you went to the irs.gov,
Mhm.
and I'm going to do two different ways to go through our website. If you go to irs.gov and you get to the main page, there's a search engine box. And in the search engine box, if you just put EITC, that would give you all the information you would need for the earned income tax credit. Or if you just go to irs.gov/EITC, that would also give you the additional information you would need for the earned income tax credit. And with the child tax credit, you get a credit for your children up to the age of 15, and also when you're paying for childcare. And so that is another great credit you could take on your taxes for your children.
Okay. And you said that is EITC on IRA?
So if you go to irs.gov, EITC, and okay, so I found my page I was looking for. Sorry. I don't know if anybody realizes this when they look at this recording. It's 7 o'clock in the morning my time, so I'm doing my best. Okay,
You're
so
doing great.
yeah, so additional child tax credit. So for 2024 tax season, which is right now, we're in the 2024 tax return, which we're in the 2025 tax filing season. That's always so confusing.
Mhm.
So the maximum additional child tax credit has increased to $1,700 per child. And let's see here. And looking for child tax enhancements. And then, okay, so EITC. So to claim an EITC without a qualifying child in 2024, taxpayers must be at least 25 years old and under the age of 65. And if a taxpayer is married filing joint, one spouse must be at least age 25 and under the age of 65. Um, we also have an adoption credit
Oh,
that people can take advantage of. There's the clean vehicle credit. I talked about home energy credit, but there's also a clean vehicle credit if you purchase a new vehicle that's electric vehicle. Also, you can purchase a used electric vehicle. The qualifications for a used electric vehicle, it has to be at least 2 years old, and there is income limitations to qualify for the vehicle, but the vehicle can't cost more than $25,000.
oh, wow. Okay. That's interesting. So it's an electric vehicle. Is there a specific reason why it had to be electric?
Because with the Inflation Reduction Act, we're trying to become a cleaner society, more green. I guess you could say either way.
Yeah.
And so they're trying to eliminate all the fossil fuels that are polluting our environment. And so they're encouraging people to purchase electric vehicles. And like I said, they're not only giving the electric vehicle credit for new vehicles, but they're also doing for used vehicles. Both credits do have income limitations, and so like I said, the other component on the new vehicles is that it has to meet certain manufacturing qualifications, and the main part of that is the battery component. But if you were to go to the Department of Energy website, it lists all the vehicles that qualify, and that would be a good place to start if you are considering buying a electric vehicle.
Oh, wow, that's really cool. And I guess good for us trying to be more clean, huh?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think it's really fantastic that they are offering on used electric vehicles. But like I said, the only qualification, the main component on that, it's got to be at least 2 years old. And then you can only get the credit by purchasing a used vehicle from a dealer. So if you have a friend who happens to have a used electric vehicle that they're selling, you would not qualify for the credit. It has to come from a dealer. The dealer, there's a special online tool that the dealer can look up the vehicle to make sure it qualifies. And you might be thinking, well, what's the other qualification? The other qualification is on an electric vehicle that's used, that vehicle, based on the VIN, can only have the credit once. So it can only transfer once since 2023 to qualify for that credit.
Oh,
I know
okay.
that sounds confusing, but
Well, good thing we're recording this so I can listen back too, just in
mhm.
case. Okay, well, thank you for that. That's really interesting. So, I want to kind of go into these special situations questions just to keep in mind of everyone who serves. And my
Mhm.
first one is, what tax considerations should National Guard and Reserve members keep in mind?
Let's see here. I have information about that. And while I'm getting that information, I am going to go a little bit into, okay, so for people who are in the reserve, first of all, they get to deduct their miles while they are going to and from home to their where they're assigned. And I'm looking for my information about their employer information because I had very specific information for employers on that. Um, Again, they also get to deduct the military uniforms. And and they get some of the same benefits that regular military people get too. So, like when they are assigned, if they are deployed to a combat zone, their income will also become non-taxable for the purpose of while they're in the combat zone. And also, if they are in a combat zone, their income tax return, if it comes due, they get an automatic extension while they are in that combat zone. Um, Here we go. I found what I was looking for. So there's specific situations for people in the reserve who are deployed, who have a regular full-time job. They get deployed as a reservist. So some employers may voluntarily continue to pay full wages to the employees who are called to active duty. So this is commonly referred to as differential pay. So the differential pay would still be taxable to the individual who's receiving it. Um, let's see here. And if an employer pays military differential to an employee, are these considered wages? So yes, they are considered wages for taxable purposes. And let's see. So military differential wages should be reported on your W-2 on box 1. So that's how you know that they are taxable wages. Um, so an employer reports them on their W-2. Let's see here. And so one thing to know, okay, so when it comes to Social Security, and I'm sorry, I'm kind of jumping around here because I saw so many different points that I wanted to point out. So is there any benefit reductions to FICA not being withheld from the employee on the employee? So what happens is on your differential pay for wages, if they do not withhold Social Security, that means that that income will not count towards wages for a given year when it comes to Social Security purposes. So when it comes time to retiring, um, and I know I'm actually kind of close to that myself, so I kind of can attest to that. I have to laugh, but when you're looking at your Social Security benefits when you go to retire, the amount that they pay you is based on the top 35 years of your income through your life that you've worked, that you've paid into Social Security. But what happens is when you are a reservist, and if your primary job has you on what they call differential pay and they do not withhold Social Security, that means that that income is not going to count towards your Social Security calculation later on when you file for your Social Security benefits when you retire. So that is a good thing to know. If you are in the reserve for many years and you are often deployed, it's nice that you get the benefit of not paying into Social Security, not having those is withheld. But then on the flip side, at the end, it will not count towards your calculation of your Social Security check when you go into retirement.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. I had no idea.
Yeah, I never realized that until when I was kind of doing my little research for today.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that and doing that work to find that information for us. That's amazing. So, my next question is, are there any tax implications for military families who receive VA disability benefits?
So disability is not taxable.
Okay.
Um, Pensions, I've been talking about retirement a lot. Pensions are taxable, but disability is not taxable. So if you are if you are currently deployed military service member and you're in the United States while you're working in the United States, your income is taxable. If you go overseas and you're in a combat situation, your income is not taxable. If you are either overseas or you're back in the United States and you've been injured, you're on disability, you're unable to work, your income is also not taxable.
Wow. Okay. So, my next question was, what should military families know about filing taxes when stationed overseas?
Um, let's see here. I had that information. So when they are overseas, they can file for an extension of
Okay.
their taxes. If they're in a combat zone, they are automatically granted that extension. When they're overseas, they still have to file their taxes.
Mhm.
Um, it's more about being in that combat zone that
Okay.
you get the automatic extension.
Okay. Got it. Got it. And so, for the last part of this Money Monday segment, I wanted to go into the resources and filing assistance that's available for our military troops. Now, are there any free or discounted tax preparation services available for military families or organizations that help with that?
Yes, there are a lot of different. See, so they okay. I have different things I'm going to read to you right here. Sorry. Okay, so the best resource that the military has as far as filing taxes is mill tax. And so the Department of Defense provides mill tax as a free tax resource for the military community. Uh, Mill tax is a suite of tax services that are available to members of the military as well as qualifying veterans and family members. And there are no income limits, which I think is an important thing to note because I do have other options that are available to military as well. But mill tax is, I would say, the best option. So mill tax includes both tax preparation and electronic filing software. They offer a personalized support from tax consultants and current information about filing taxes. It's designed to address the realities of military life, including deployments, combat and training pay, housing, rentals, and multi state filings. I know I talked to you a little bit earlier, Chevelle, about IRS is your federal income taxes, but people may be paying taxes at each state level. And as you are deployed to new duty stations, you are transferring over state lines, and that does affect your state tax filing. Unfortunately, at the federal government, we're not involved at the state level. We're more national. But what's really nice about mill taxes, they can handle those multi-state filings. And so eligible taxpayers can use mill tax to electronically file the federal tax return, and they will do up to 3 state tax returns for free. So when you were mentioning about being a military family that's overseas, you might be stationed there, mill taxes overseas, they can help you. I can't stress how wonderful of a resource mill tax is for military families. There are other options as well. You might be in the United States, or you could be overseas too. And you can do our online IRS free file. And this is a program that is a public private partnership between the IRS and Free File Incorporated, which is the leading tax software provider that makes online products available to all United States citizens in both English and Spanish for free. And so each IRS free file provider sets its own eligibility rules based on age, income, and state residency. I will tell you that some of there's 8 different software companies that work within the contract, and some of them do offer state filings. You would have to go online to look at the free file to see what states are offered. So taxpayers who made $73,000 um, or less will likely find an offer for a free file provider that matches their needs. So some providers also offer free state tax return preparation, as I just mentioned. And taxpayers can go to the IRS website. If you went to irs.gov and in the search engine put free file, or if you just went to irs.gov/free file, you would actually bring up all of our information about free file. And then once the taxpayer chooses the provider, they can follow the link to the provider's webpage to complete and file the tax return. And Free File's guided preparation software can help taxpayers calculate things like the earned income tax credit that we talked about earlier and the child and dependent care credit. And there's also some other options too. This year, IRS offers something new called Direct File. It's available in 25 states. Unfortunately, I did not put the 25 states in front of me. But again, if you went to the irs.gov website and go irs.gov/direct file, it would bring up the 25 states. I know I'm sitting in California, and I know California is one of them, Washington, Oregon, 25 states across our great nation. And so that's another option. And then there's another option called free file fillable forms. And so what this is if you make over $73,000 and don't qualify for free file, you can access all of our IRS forms online and you can complete the taxes yourself. They do give you some additional instruction on how to do that. And then let's see here. We were talking about overseas. So actually, there is members of the military stationed overseas have more time to file their tax returns. Additional extensions are available for those serving in combat zones, as I had mentioned. However, those with spouses and families may choose to file as soon as they can to claim any tax benefits. And you're thinking, well, why would they want to file sooner and not take advantage of the extension? Because sometimes you could take advantage of the tax credits, and some of our tax credits are what we call refundable. So even if you don't owe a tax, they're still going to give you that refund. So if only one spouse is present to file a joint return, they must have a proper authorization to file a joint return on behalf of the other spouse. So that situation might exist if one spouse is in combat and the other spouse is in the United States. They might have to have like a power of attorney to be able to file on behalf of their spouse that is overseas. And I do want to mention everything I'm talking to you about here today in regards to the military is on our publication 3, which is a fantastic resource. And I know Summers, actually printed a copy of it. Here it is right here. So Armed Forces Tax Guide, excellent resource. Everything you asked me today is in here. It talks about currently in the United States, if you're deployed, if you're traveling, if you change duty stations, if you become disabled, if you are deployed overseas, if you're in a combat zone, what income is taxable, what income is not taxable, um, all about deductions. It's a great, fantastic resource. And I can't stress enough that if you're looking to do your taxes, try looking at this first. You don't have to have the physical copy. Again, you can just go to our IRS website and type in publication 3 and this will come up.
Oh, that's great. And for anyone who's listening to this, I will have that linked in our financial wellness group on the neighborhood so our members can find that too. Thank you so much for sharing that resource.
Oh,
Now,
not a problem, Chevelle.
what, for my next question, what are some key deadlines and penalties military families should be aware of? Now, I know we talked about extensions, but are there any specific deadlines or penalties that they could face if they don't meet the requirements?
Well, I mean, it's mainly in the United States, for their regular tax return filing. And I am going to bring up my little cheat sheet here that I had. I just want to make sure I'm covering all the good things that. Here we go. So the IRS offers what they call a tax time guide, and it's the essential needs for filing your 2024 tax return. So um, if you can't file by April 15th, we suggest that you file an extension because filing an extension is an extension to file, but not an extension to pay. So if you are still going to owe taxes, even though you file an extension, you still want to make that payment. Because what happens if you don't, then interest and penalties can accrue after the April 15th deadline. So that is really, the biggest thing is avoiding interest and penalties.
Okay, okay. No, that makes sense. And for my last question with you, which thinking back on it, I should have asked this in the beginning. What documents should military families gather when they're filing their taxes?
Anything, anything to do with a deduction on the return really needs to have substantiation with it. So you want to start with what I call like your IRS transcripts. Transcripts are things that other parties report to you? Would it be like your income, like a W-2, pension statements, social security statements, disability statements, anything, the year-end statement that reflects all of your income for that year. So it'd be for both spouses. So if you have somebody in the military, somebody who the spouse is working in a excuse me, a private sector employment, excuse me, any interest that they've earned from their bank statements. Um, if they are deployed and they're moving to duty stations, any receipt regarding that move. So if they were staying in hotels, meals, a lot of times you're allotted what they call per diem. If they didn't keep every receipt, it's reasonable to assume that they can take the standardized per diem amount. Um, as far as their mileage goes, I am love my cell phone. I use my cell phone all the time for when I'm trying to track miles.
Hmm.
Take a picture of the miles as you are literally leaving your old home before as you're moving, and then take a picture of your miles when you get to your new deployed station. That would be a good way to track the miles that you took nationwide. Excuse me, sorry. And then I do have to put a side note though. Many times people might be moving, we'll say from California to New York, and they want to stop to the Grand Canyon and do like a little family vacation as they're driving cross country.
Yeah.
Any little pit stops are not tax deductible. And so when you're doing all of your receipts and miles and so forth, you want to account for that
Okay.
not to deduct the personal aspect of your travel going nationwide. Um, and again, we were talking about your uniform cleaning.
Hmm.
Make sure you keep all those receipts. If you own a home, you're going to be getting your 1098 from your mortgage company. So all of those forms, you need to have those, but especially the items that you have to account for, like the vehicle expenses, the cleaning of your uniforms, keep those receipts.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you so much. Now, those were all the questions that I prepared for you. Are there anything that you would like to share with our members that they should keep a lookout for or should know when it comes to tax season?
So as you were asking me questions, and you and I spoke yesterday, and I was showing you all of my resources.
Yes.
Um, I I am a I work for the IRS, so obviously I'm going to toot the IRS horn. But I have to tell you, the IRS's website is so user friendly. If you go to irs.gov,
Mhm.
and you can do it one of two ways. Just go IRS. The most important thing is remember irs.gov. And if you go into the search box at the top and you just type military, you will get a web page, and it will give you all kinds of information, all different kinds of topics, everything that we talked about. And I'm going to just mention them. It's going to give you tax information for members of the military. Um, this lists like both the current and former military, combat service disabled veterans. It's going to give you all that information. It's going to give you information, filing season information, resources for military members. So I kind of taught you a little bit about the mill tax. I kind of highlighted it there. It gives you information about, as I had mentioned to you, the free file. Um, Another organization I didn't mention is VITA, which is more for I volunteer income tax assistance is for underserved low income families. But if you qualify, if you're newly enlisted, maybe, and you're at the beginning levels of the military service, you could qualify for VITA as well. Another thing that is in this website is military family tax benefits. So there's information here that I know we didn't get into today, Chevelle.
Mhm.
Death benefits, sale of a principal residence. It talks a little bit here about the deduction for overnight travel expenses for National Guard and Reserve members, homeowner assistance program if you're in the military, combat zone extensions expanded to contingency operations, military academy attendees, military spouse business owners. And this is all just going to the irs.gov/military. We talked about the free online tax help. there's information about the combat zone uh, for people in the reservists in the combat zone, health information for military personnel, and let's see here. I had a few more things. All right, here. Sorry. So it talks about extension deadlines for a combat zone and miscellaneous provisions for a combat zone. So again, all fantastic resources.
Yeah.
And you can also get our publication 3. There's a link there for that as well. And then there's another resource for spouses. Um, I have this here. I did a presentation with Blue Star Families in January with Laura Torres,
Hmm.
and we talked about tips and resources for military spouse entrepreneurs. And it's publication 5801-A. And if you can see that there. So if there's any military members that might have missed that presentation in January, there's great resources there as well on that website. So I hope if there's anything you get from this presentation today, just know that we have excellent resources for our military. If you go to our website, it's very user friendly, and I hope that if you didn't get what you needed today from me, go there and the resources will be there to help answer those additional questions that we didn't cover today.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Sherry. I'll make sure to link that website page into the blog post that will be posted with this presentation. And for those who did miss out on that presentation in January for military spouses, I'm pretty sure you can find that in our neighborhood in the careers section. Just look up.
Yes, I believe that's where Laura put it.
Yeah, just look up the careers group in the neighborhood and go to our January post and you'll find it there. So just thank you so much. And as we wrap up today's discussion, just remember that staying informed and proactive about your taxes is a vital component of financial health. And I can't thank you enough, Sherry, for just joining us and sharing your information and your expertise. Now, the tax.
Thank you so much, Chevelle. I appreciate you inviting me.
Of course, of course. And the tax landscape can be complex, but with the right knowledge and resources, you can navigate it effectively. We encourage you to consult with tax professionals like Sherry Sales or others, with familiar with military specific situations to tailor strategies to your unique needs. Thank you again for joining us, and be sure to check out all the resources that I will link into our post and follow-up materials that you can check out on your own when we're navigating these tricky times with taxes. Now, let's just make this year a great year for financial wellness for all of us. Thank you again.
Thank you.